It was the smell of cinnamon toast that did it. That stupid, warm, nostalgic smell, her mom's signature thing, always made when she visited. I walked into the kitchen, and there she was. My wife's mother, sitting calmly at our table, sipping tea, a plate of toast in front of her like she'd always belonged there. I blinked. Helen. She looked up, smiled. Morning, sweetheart. My heart skipped a beat. My wife had told me she was out shopping with her mother. An hour ago. I even helped her carry the tote bags to the car. Helen tilted her head, like she was studying me. You okay? I didn't answer. I just stared at her, my brain trying to bend the reality in front of me to match what I'd been told. I thought you were out shopping. I finally managed. Helen looked puzzled for half a second, and then her face shifted. Not confused. Not surprised. Just sad. She told you that? Yeah, I said slowly. Like, an hour ago. Helen set down her teacup with a gentle clink. Sit down, honey. Something in her voice made me sit before I even realized I'd moved. She didn't launch into a dramatic confession or offer some cryptic hint. She just sighed, folded her hands in front of her, and stared at them like they held all the answers. I didn't know if I should come, she said. But when she left this morning, I just had this feeling, like you needed someone to be here when you found out. My stomach dropped. My mouth went dry. Helen, what are you talking about? She didn't meet my eyes. Just kept talking, steady and soft, like she was reciting a story that had worn her down. I was at her place last week, helping her pack some donations for that women's shelter. She left her phone on the table. It buzzed. I didn't mean to look, but the screen lit up. A message from someone named Drew. I knew that name. I'd seen it once on her phone too. She said he was from her marketing team. New guy. A bit overeager. That was months ago. He called her baby, Helen said. Said he missed her smell. Her skin. I clenched my jaw. Helen looked up at me finally, her eyes full of something I couldn't quite name. Pity, maybe. Or guilt. Or just exhaustion. I asked her about it. She told me not to worry. Said it was just a stupid thing. A joke. But she turned red, and you know how she gets when she's lying. She did. Her ears turned red. Always the ears, never the cheeks. It was a small thing I used to think was cute. Now it made my skin crawl. So, I said, voice cracking. You came here to what? Tell me she's cheating? No, Helen said gently. I came here so you wouldn't be alone when you figured it out for yourself. And just like that, everything fell into place. The late-night meetings that never seemed to end before midnight. The way she started bringing her own laundry to her sister's house, claiming our dryer was shrinking her clothes. The locked phone. The sudden gym obsession. The new perfume I didn't recognize. And now, the lie. The one so thin it fell apart with one whiff of cinnamon toast. I stood up, pushed the chair back too hard. It scraped against the tile like a scream. I stopped. I didn't know what I needed. Helen stood too, walked around the table, and took my hand in both of hers. I'm sorry. I truly am. I hoped it wasn't true. But I know my daughter. So do I whispered. We sat together in silence for a while. She didn't try to comfort me. Didn't offer false hope. She just stayed. And then, after what felt like an hour, I heard it. The sound of the garage door. She was home. I stood, my chest tight, my hands ice cold. Helen didn't move. I'll stay, she said. You shouldn't have to do this alone. We waited together. The front door creaked open. Keys hit the bowl. And then her voice. Light. Careless. Like everything was normal. Babe? You home? I looked at her mother. She gave me the smallest nod. My voice was steady, but it came from somewhere far away. Yeah, I'm here. Footsteps approached. I stared at the hallway, at the shadow growing longer on the floor as she rounded the corner. She appeared in the doorway, bags in hand, wearing that practiced smile. And then she saw her mother. Her face didn't twist in shock. She didn't ask why Helen was there. She just froze. The blood drained from her face. She knew the game was up, and I saw it in her eyes. The flicker of panic, the calculation, the gears turning fast behind a mask that was finally cracking. I didn't say a word. Not yet. Let her speak first. Let her explain how she was out shopping with the woman sitting 2 feet away from me. She set the shopping bags down slowly, like buying herself time with every inch they dropped. I watched her closely, not the woman I married, but the one standing there now, calculating her next move. She didn't greet her mom. Didn't greet me. She just asked, "What's going on?" Helen didn't answer. She just crossed her arms and looked away, like she couldn't bear to see what her daughter might try next. I finally spoke. My voice was too calm, like it belonged to someone else. You told me you were out shopping with your mom. I was, she said quickly, too quickly. Earlier. We split up at Target. She must have come back here. Stop. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. That one word cut the air in half. Her eyes flicked to her mother again, then back to me. What is this? An ambush? I laughed once. Hollow. No. You already did that to yourself. She stepped forward, dropping the facade piece by piece. Her face twisted into something I hadn't seen before. Not guilt, not regret. Just frustration. Inconvenience. Like we had ruined her little afternoon play. Okay, she said, trying to keep her voice measured. Let's not blow this out of proportion. There's an explanation. I'm listening. That caught her. For a split second, her mouth opened, then closed. She had nothing. No story rehearsed for this scene. You said you were with her, I said, nodding toward Helen. So either you're lying, or your mom is a ghost. She looked away. I took a step forward, heat building behind my ribs. Where were you, Jenna? She didn't answer. Helen, still standing off to the side like a silent witness, spoke quietly. Tell him the truth. But Jenna didn't. She did what she always did. She tried to flip it. Why is she even here? She snapped, motioning toward her mom. What? Are you two teaming up against me now? I almost laughed again. You lied. To both of us. Her eyes flashed. No, I didn't. Jenna, Helen interrupted. Her voice was sharper now. Not angry, just firm. Mother firm. Don't make it worse. I saw something flicker in Jenna's face. The way her shoulders tensed. She knew it was over. Her performance had ended. No encore. No applause. I waited, hoping, foolishly, that she'd take this last moment to come clean. To look me in the eye and give me the respect of truth. Instead, she whispered. It didn't mean anything. The silence that followed was deafening. I nodded slowly. So there is a something that didn't mean anything. She looked at the floor. Who is he? Still nothing. I stepped back. How long? Her hands trembled slightly. A few months. Helen turned away. I could see the disappointment crawl across her face like a storm. Not just at the betrayal, but at the cowardice. A few months. I repeated, letting the weight of it settle between us. And every time you said you were working late, or with your mom, or at some yoga class, you were with him? Jenna didn't deny it. I trusted you, I said, voice breaking just enough for her to hear it. I believed everything you said, even when the signs were right in front of me. You were never here, she said suddenly, almost a whisper. You buried yourself in work, in your routines. You stopped seeing me. There it was, the deflection, the justification. I stopped seeing you, I repeated, stunned. And that gave you permission to lie? To sneak around? To drag your mother into your cover story? You weren't. She stopped herself, catching the raw anger in my face. I'm not trying to blame you. I'm just saying, we were drifting. Then say that, I said. Say that before you find someone else to warm your side of the bed. Helen looked like she wanted to leave, to give us privacy. But I shook my head subtly. I wanted her to stay. She needed to see what her daughter had become. I didn't want it to be like this, Jenna said, finally breaking into tears. I wanted to feel something, sorrow, empathy, even rage, but all I felt was numb. So who is he? I asked again. Does it matter? Yes, I said, with the last shred of calm I had. Because whoever he is, you thought he was worth lying to me about. Worth risking everything. She hesitated. Drew. Of course. Drew. Co-worker. She nodded. And does his wife know? The way her eyes flinched told me everything. I looked over at Helen. Did you know he was married? Helen looked crushed. I suspected. I didn't want to believe it. Jenna tried to explain. It just happened. I didn't plan it. We connected. It started as texting, and then... Spare me, I said. I don't need the details. Just tell me one thing. She wiped her tears, mascara smudging under her eyes. Were you ever going to tell me? She looked at me, finally really looking, and I saw it. The truth in her silence. No, I said for her. You weren't. And that was the real betrayal. Not just the lies. Not just the affair. But the fact that she was never going to say a word. I turned to Helen. Thank you for being here. You didn't have to do that. Helen's voice cracked. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I nodded. Then I looked back at Jenna, my voice low. You can stay here tonight. I'll pack a bag and go. Wait, what? No, please. but I was already walking past her. I don't want a scene, I said. I just need space. Time. She followed me down the hall, but I closed the door gently behind me. Not a slam, just a line drawn. In permanent ink. I packed slow. Not because I didn't know what to take, but because part of me was still catching up. Like my body had moved into the reality before my mind was ready to accept it. The suitcase lay open on the bed, half full. Socks. A few shirts. Toothbrush. Not much. Everything else suddenly felt optional. I heard her crying through the door, not the loud, dramatic kind. The quiet, aching kind, the kind you can't fake. Maybe she meant it. Maybe the tears were real. But pain isn't proof of love. It's just proof something was lost. Helen tapped the door lightly. Can I come in? I nodded. She stepped in, eyes red but composed. You don't have to leave. I do, I said. Not forever. Just for now. She looked around the room, her daughter's room, once our room. Do you have somewhere to go? Yeah, I lied. I'll be fine. Helen hesitated, then reached into her coat pocket. I wasn't sure when I'd give you this. She handed me a folded piece of paper. Found it in Jenna's office drawer last week. I opened it. It was a printed itinerary, a hotel booking. Her name. Drew's. A weekend getaway. Last month. So this wasn't fresh. It was just new to me. Helen watched my reaction. I hoped it was just a work thing. But I knew. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I asked. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted to believe, she said softly. And because I wanted her to be better than this. I nodded. Folded the paper. Slid it into my bag. Helen placed a hand on my arm. You deserve better. I used to think she was the better, I said. The part of me that softened the rough edges. The person I built a life for. She was lucky to have you, Helen said. I didn't answer. As I zipped the bag shut, I realized something simple but devastating. I didn't know how to be angry at Jenna. I wasn't even sure I hated her. That was the hardest part. The betrayal didn't burn the way I expected. It just hollowed. Quiet and wide and unfixable. When I walked back into the kitchen, Jenna was sitting in the same chair her mom had occupied earlier, head in her hands. She looked up as I entered, eyes swollen. You don't have to go, she said. We can talk. We can. I can explain everything. You already did. It didn't mean I stopped loving you. I let that sit in the air a moment, then replied. That's the part that hurts most. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. I'm not trying to punish you, I said. I'm trying to save what little of myself I've got left. What do I do now? She whispered. That's not my question to answer anymore. Her lip trembled. So what, this is it? You're just walking out? I'm not walking out, I said. I'm walking away from the version of us you buried. She closed her eyes. I'll come back in a few days to get the rest of my things, I added. You don't have to be here when I do. She nodded, silent tears rolling down her cheek. Helen stood by the door. I gave her a small, grateful look. She didn't speak, just offered me a quiet strength only someone outside the mess could give. As I opened the front door, Jenna called out behind me. One last attempt to keep something from unraveling entirely. Do you hate me? I paused. No, I said. But I don't trust you. And that's worse. I stepped outside. The late afternoon sun was low in the sky, washing the street in gold. My breath hitched a little. The air was sharp. Clean. I walked to the car I hadn't planned on driving today. I didn't know where I was going yet. Maybe a motel. Maybe a friend's couch. Maybe just somewhere quiet. But I knew I wasn't running. I was reclaiming something. The truth didn't need to shout. It had waited patiently, crouched behind cinnamon toast and shopping bags. And when it arrived, it didn't break the world open. It just rearranged it. Now, I live in the after. The silence that comes when the lies finally leave. And somehow, despite everything, I'm still standing.